So we'd like to talk a little bit about it, if possible.
That's you know what? Because I just can't stand how much bollocks there is about reform, and yet people can't see what's happening. They just can't see what's going on around them. And I live in County Kent. I don't think I don't know how much of what they do affects where I am, because I'm quite close to London. But I am still in Kent, and it does make me sick to my stomach that I have reform councillors. I mean, I have a Labour MP, but just having a reform council controlling Kent is just really.
Well, my Labour MP blew his chances, didn't he, by chinning someone on a night out?
Well, yeah. Oh, that wasn't very good, was it? But we've heard so much about Labour. I thought we'd talk about reform. And welcome, everyone. Yes, I did click the live button in the middle of a conversation we were doing there, just because it's something I've been wanting to be doing whenever I do these StreamYard live streams. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Reform Talk with Graeme Pryce and Reganelite. Hello, Graeme. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm not too bad. Can't complain. I'm not enjoying the cold weather very much, but other than that, I'm all right.
Well, the good news is that today and tomorrow the weather's not so bad. It's actually like 10 to 13 degrees in some parts of the UK.
I nipped down the shop earlier on, and I must admit I noticed a difference than earlier in the week. It is definitely warmer here than it was on like Wednesday, Tuesday.
I know, it's unbelievable. You don't need to put on the heating. You could get away with not putting on the heating.
Oh, the cost of heating is unbelievable, isn't it?
Oh, it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Do you know what else is insane, Graeme? Reform UK or Reform Russia, as I like to call them there. And I originally, guys, we were going to do a Labour one, but I thought, you know what? I'm kind of glad I had a week to change it, because it's like, well, we talk about Labour all the bloody time, and everyone's also doing is talking about the budget anyway. And I thought, let's just shit on Reform in Russia. But I also, if you guys have noticed in the description of this live stream, I've also got a bunch of stories, including one that dropped today. Because there's so many stories about Reform UK that we don't always pick up on all of them. And it's insane how much crap they really are doing. I mean, Graeme, for you, how are you surprised just how much news comes out about them, but it doesn't really gain as much traction in the mainstream media?
Yes, to a degree, I'm surprised by it, because, like you say, there's so much out there. It's so obvious that they are a party of wrong'uns, isn't it? But I think, I honestly, I hate to say it, but I think there's like a MAGA element to it. There's some people who've decided they've stuck the pins in reform and they're going to defend them no matter what. And I've seen a hell of a lot of that in the last couple of days on me on Facebook. People trying to pretend it's not real. It's a fit up by the leftists, or it's real, but it's not as bad as the left are trying to make it seem. And there's a lot of people, maybe not as many as we would have expected, thankfully, but there is still a lot of people trying to defend this and trying to pretend that it's not as bad as it is, in the same way that every time Donald Trump does another horrific anti-democratic thing, you will easily find MAGA people trying to defend him. I'm seeing a lot of similarities.
How much of that do you generally believe that a lot of the voters online, in comparison to people, actual English, Welsh, Scottish, Northern Irish people that can actually vote for reform, how much of that online do you get from? Because you get a lot. You've had a lot of people in your comment sections. A lot of reform people coming in after you, attacking you in the comments and whatnot because of your videos. How much of it do you actually believe it's genuine people from the UK, or as opposed to potentially them just from different parts of the world that are literally just paid bots or lobbyists just out there just trying to defend reform?
Do you know, I sometimes when I talk to people, I go and check, and if it's somebody who is the profile picture is some relatively attractive looking normal person in a nice little holiday setting, and then I look and they haven't posted anything at all, then that's clearly a bot. And I'm finding more and more and more of them recently. So I would go as far as to say I think that it might be 50-50, And then this thing with in America, where they've had a lot of Twitter. I mean, it's not just America; it's Britain as well. But America's, and they're actually places have had to say where they're based, and so many of them are Africa, America, and when if you come across somebody who is a bot, this is worth knowing. If you come across somebody who is a bot in Africa, it's quite likely they live in a part of Africa where Putin has been able to send mercenaries and change the local opinion. So if you see Africa, it's basically Russia, And I'm seeing a hell of a lot of bots but there's also, I can't deny it, there's also a huge amount of people that have just been convinced that reform is the third option, not the Lib Dems or the Greens, or it's reform. If you don't want to vote for Tory or Labour, it's reform. And a lot of these people don't really know. I hate to say it, I'm trying to step away from calling people stupid and idiots and things a little bit, but they don't really know what they're voting for, do they? They don't really know anything about reform, but they just want to vote for someone other than the Tories or Labour. Maybe the budget will change that a bit. Who knows?
I think, it's really. I think it's really important to emphasise that people. I do believe that a huge chunk of genuine voters out there who are thinking of voting reform are not racist. They're not bigots. I believe a lot of them are. They are just tired of the same two-party system, which is what we've had for such a long time. And it's really important to emphasize that is that while of course we are going to bash the party itself, it doesn't help anyone bashing the voters behind it, because many of them have genuine concerns about things. I do believe that a lot of the immigration stuff is manufactured. I do believe a lot of it is manufactured, but there are some examples from people out there, but it's hard to know what is real information and what is misinformation these days, especially even when you're talking, especially when there's media outlets that go down there and talk to people like that. And some of the language from what people say when they actually talk to, whether it's to people on TikTok or YouTube or whatnot, and you hear some of the language coming out of them, and it just makes you wonder, do you not understand the language that you're using? Is it you generally think that it's okay to use that kind of language? And do you not realize the ramifications of using such language? And especially on top of that, it's also, they put in their face there on camera, because if you're saying something really vile and you don't realize what you're saying is really bad, you get portrayed all over social media as this guy in this area. If you see him, he could potentially become a target because of your language as well.
Yeah.
It really is quite crazy. Jal says the British had normalised racism and fascism by enabling Farage and reform. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely there. The media. Yeah, the media have done, I've just been I've been doing we'll say British, we'll say English more. That is what you meant to say. I think Viper Scott's meant to say more English. Yeah, I mean, it is unfortunately happening more in England and Wales more than anything here. Unfortunately, there has been that influence in Scotland, because we saw Scottish voters voting for reform, and cross fingers they do not gain foothold as MPs in Scotland. That would be extremely scary if that happens there. I hope not, because they're looking like
it's frightening to see how many people in Scotland do seem to be drifting towards them. Because I imagine Scotland to be more left-wing than Britain, not more right-wing. So to see Scottish people going towards reform, it's worrying. But like you say, they don't seem to be in enough numbers to really defeat the idea of, Scottish nationalism.
Yeah, I do generally think that the thing of independence and the Scottish National Party and the SNP, that is a real help of the whole, because they don't have the red-blue situation. They have an alternative, and the alternative is SNP. So they have that there. So I really do think that they'll help them. But I generally hope the numbers are not increased at the local elections next year. There, I really hope so.
One thing I will say is, I think Scottish people considering voting reform need to remember that if they're interested in Scottish independence, reform are never going to allow a referendum on Scottish independence. There's absolutely no way you would get that out of a reform government or a Tory government. So when you see people who are quite right wing in Scotland think, and also support independence, it's a bit of a conglomerate, really. It's an oxymoron, because if you vote for quite far right parties, you're certainly not getting a vote for independence, because they want the UK to be an entity that makes huge amounts of money in taxes and allows them to sort of carry on as they are. They don't want to have the sort of massive change that a successful Scottish independence campaign would bring about. So people in Reform who are voting Scotland, people in Scotland who are voting Reform, they're basically voting against Scottish independence.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's a possible. Like, obviously, I don't know what the poll numbers are between Union and Independence, and I'm sure my Scottish friends they can give us some relative numbers there. But I wonder how many of those people who are thinking of voting Reform Russia in Scotland, how many of them are Union in comparison to pro-independence? That would be a very interesting statistic to see there. And the other, and while we're talking about other region, other nations, of course, Wales is obviously a really concerning one. Of course, we know that Labour are. I mean, it doesn't look good for them. The polls have not been looking very good for them for quite a while now. No. They've been in power for a long time there. And while I have a lot of hope for Plaid Cymru, because they really do connect with the Welsh people very, very well. And of course, the party specifically for Wales and believes and wants to push towards a Welsh independence. And I generally do hope that they can forge that path in some way, shape, or form. But the other alternative is reform again in Wales. And the worst part about it is even the same thing. The thing they keep getting bashed into their ear is about immigration, just like in Scotland. And yet it's a devolved matter. It's not something that even Scotland or Wales can control. It's a Westminster thing. And yet people are being told that this is happening to them. And that's why they need to vote reform.
Yeah. But so, last time that we had a conversation, and as we talk, it fires off different things in my mind. And it's like Wales, it surprises me that that people who are interested in Welsh independence might be interested in reform as well. I mean, it's something that I think is quite a way in the distance anyway. We're not going to be having a vote for Welsh independence in the next few years. And I think if you wanted to be a person who was involved in that and supported that, reform seemed miles away from what you should vote for.
But they are trying to appeal to things that, like, I think one of the things they were targeting in Wales was a lot of workers, like union workers, and I think it was the steel making, and they were talking about reopening the coal mines as well, which was just like, and the thing is, it would actually make things worse. Like I don't understand the logic behind this. I suppose the only logic is, we'll bring back, send the kids down the coal mines. So it's just like there was a time and a place for that, and we've moved on as a nation from that. But I just
moved on from it. We moved on from it 50 years ago, more.
Yeah, but they want to bring back the mining helmet, the pickaxe, and want to send the next generation of children down the tunnels to pick up coal. It's just insane. Do
you know what I would actually support is if they took young people in Scotland and taught them about the history of the mines and took them to the mines that would still remain and offered like schemes to be, because it's still needed. There are still people around the country that use, coal and things for fires and stuff. Maybe just bring it in, and if we had like a a small mining industry, then maybe Wales could contribute to that. But this idea that like people, you know, should be, I've kind of lost my thread, but
but essentially, like the thing is, it's like I don't.
If you embraced it and made it a little bit of a thing for in Wales, then maybe I could get behind it. But coal's finished.
Yeah,
and to an extent, I think even petrol's, you know, it's kind of finished. It's going to be around for a long time yet. But fossil fuels are finished, and if Wales isn't going to be able to push itself forward, if that's something it's building itself on, and that's what Reform are trying to do.
Ellie says you don't want me holding a pickaxe. Have you been playing Minecraft, Ellie?
Never got into Minecraft. I don't know if I've missed out, but I think I'll leave that one alone.
Yeah. When I think of pickaxe, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. Not coal mining, guys. So, like I said, I'm not going to actually open up the stories, but I'll read a little bit into it, and we can share our thoughts as going on for some of these stories. Links for all of the stories are in the description, and also there's a petition in the description. If someone, one of the moderators, don't mind putting it in the chat.
Is that about the Russian interference?
Yes, the petition for calling a public inquiry into Russian interference. If you guys haven't voted on, if you guys haven't, please sign the petition if you haven't already. And if you know other discords and whatnot, or other groups that you can send that link to, please do. We want it to get as many signatures as possible. We want them to force a debate on it. It really, really helpful. So please, if you haven't signed the petition, please do. The link for it is in the description, guys. So here's one of the first stories. We kind of know about this already, but we're going to touch on it here and here. So Reform Russia, I can't call it Reform Russia, it's just the proper name for them, rejects pro-Russian claims as the party faces renewed call for the bribery inquiry. So Reform Russia has denied that it's a pro-Russian party. It's faced renewed calls from the Prime Minister and MPs to launch an investigation into how its former leader in Wales was taking bribes from the Kremlin. Sir Keir Starmer, Kemi Badenoch and a skew of MPs rounded on Nigel Farage's party in the House of Commons to demand it holds an inquiry into how Nathan Gill had taken cash from Moscow. Gill was jailed for 10.5 years last week after he admitted to being paid £40,000 to make pro-Russian statements in the European Parliament. I mean, it's so blatant, it's so obvious. So is it just a case of from Nigel Farage? Is he just going to ignore this and hope this goes away? Is that really his only logic here? Or is it possible that he could... Or is it possible he could launch an inquiry and then just basically forget about it and hope, and when people ask about it, they're saying it's still a work in progress?
I think, you've probably got a point. It could go either way there, actually. But I think it seems to have affected the polling numbers. They're going down. I can't wait to see the polls in the next fortnight, because I think that they're going to have dropped quite a lot. As far as Russia goes, I do think it's hitting with quite a lot of people who are the type of people who just voted Reform because they thought they were the third option, or they just didn't want to vote Labour or Tory. And I think those type of people are being affected by this. The few sort of Reform things, the few that I follow on my phone and on Facebook and stuff, I'm seeing a lot of criticism for them over it. So I do think it's going to have an impact. But again, I think there's a hardcore of them that are just going to accept anything.
What do you make of the whole Nathan Gill situation? Are you surprised by it? I mean, I don't think surprised is not the right word. Like, are you surprised how exposed this makes Reform look?
No, I'm not. I'm not surprised by it at all, because I've been saying for a long time that there's very few people in Reform that aren't wrong-uns. I mean, all of the 5 MPs, they've got horrible, nasty people with bad intentions. And I think it does filter through. I think there will be Reform councillors that are nice people and think they're doing the right thing and are just trying to help the community, and they've just stuck the pin to the wrong flag. But I do think it goes further down. A lot of them are generally Reform attracts racists, and fascists and nasty. Like I've said many a times, not all Reform voters are racist, but all the racists want you to vote Reform. And so I'm not surprised by it in the slightest. What I am slightly surprised by is the media's response to it. You'd think that they'd be absolutely slaying the fella, and they're not really. A few are, but not all of them.
Yeah, I do think like the likes of Channel 4, I think Sky News has done okay. I don't know how much the BBC's coverage has been because I haven't been watching for the BBC, but I do feel like that but they do get asked the questions whenever they do conferences and whatnot, and they can't stand it. They can't stand it. I mean, I just want to say in the piece that I was just looking at here, it does say in response, Reform's UK's deputy leader Richard Tice said Vladimir Putin was a vile dictator, and that criticism was noise. Okay, I'm just putting that out there, just saying he was. He also when they were mentioning it on Tuesday, was it last week Tuesday? I think it was, or yesterday Tuesday. This was about the Ukraine war, and he was the only Reform MP in the House, and he actually got to ask the Prime Minister a question during this. I don't know how many people are aware of this. Dave, again, it's good to see you there, my friend. Hope you are doing well, guys. Make sure if you're not, please support the two Davies as much as you possibly can. Yes. If you're not a subscriber to them, please do. Please give them some love. They need it right now. And nothing but love for our good two friends, the two Davies there. Definitely we'll have you back on in the new year, my friend. So he's Mr. Tice, who so when he stood up in the House of Commons for his question, this is what he said as he was getting heckled, of course. He said, may I remind the House last year that I personally donated a 5-figure sum, bought a pickup truck, filled it with first aid supplies, and drove it with other friends and colleagues to Ukraine and donated to the brave soldiers Ukraine. So my support and Reform support for Ukraine has been rock solid, Prime Minister, throughout.
Fair enough.
I mean, like, I don't know how true that is. If it is true, fair play to him. Yeah, if it's true. And that's a big pinch of salt, okay? But I've not, and I'm pretty sure if he actually did something like that, you think he would video it, you think he would vlog it and maybe record it, showing people, here's me doing my bit for Ukraine. Because that kind of stuff is actually good content for politicians, especially as well. But,
of course, yes. Especially ones like him. I've got to stick to me sort of ideals there and say I'm not going to call him a liar until I've had a look and read about it and found out whether he did or not. Maybe he did. I mean, there is quite a lot of people that have done that sort of thing for Ukraine. Maybe he did, or maybe he's contributed so much to somebody else who did that he feels like he can say that he. Who knows? But I'm not. Excuse me. I don't think. The thing I attack Reform about, it isn't to support or non-support of Ukraine. It's more what they're doing here. I believe that they are quite capable of having shady dealings with Putin and Russian oligarchs and still trying the best to portray to the British public that they're supporting Ukraine. I fully believe they're capable of operating in that much of a deceptive and dishonest way because they've shown that they're all very dishonest. So
yeah,
who knows? Maybe he did, maybe he has, but it doesn't change the fact that he's part of a party that's just had somebody sent to jail for 10 years for colluding with Russia, does it?
Yeah. It doesn't change anything at all. But if you guys want to just type yes or no down in the comments below, do you think Richard Tice did actually drove to Ukraine, sent them aid and whatnot? Do you guys believe him? Yes or no? You can type your comments down below if you want to. There, I wouldn't be surprised if I see a yes there. I'm going to be like, excuse me.
I doubt very much whether he sat in a van and literally drove all the way there. I mean, I follow Graeme Hughes and I follow a few channels that are about people who.
He went down there, didn't he? He went down there with aid. I remember him recording it and everything.
I know how difficult it is. Yeah,
it was. Yeah, I think he had to do a lot of it in Poland. He couldn't actually go into Ukraine one or two of the trips as well, if I recall, because of the difficulties. But. Yeah, he had the footage, so fair play to Graeme for doing what he did. Like, I really do. Absolutely. I know not everyone's always agrees with his political views, but the fact that he actually went down there with others to get aid and whatnot.
Well, I love that he took a load of Lego for the kids as well. That's a brilliant thing.
That was very nice touch. Yeah, that was indeed a nice touch.
That's a brilliant touch, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I always say it's one of the most relaxing things you can do is sit and build something out of Lego. You know, it takes you away from everything, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. So another Reform Russia story, guys, is like I said, if you want to know any of these stories and have a look at them yourselves, bear in mind you might get flooded with cookies from some of them, so I'm just giving you a heads up here. This one here from Kent Online, this was last about 5 days ago, or about last week there. Reform UK's Kent County Councillor Peter Osborne should resign over a punch threat to a colleague. So let me just read into this context. So a Reform UK county councillor has been urged to resign over a WhatsApp message in which he spoke about wanting to punch a colleague in the face. Peter Osborne has apologised for his part in the exchange last month discussing the leaking of a video showing a heated internal party meeting. He wrote, quote, "I'm hoping this mole is a bloke so I can punch him right in the jaw," end quote. The group chat, which involved dozens of members, was speculating who leaked the video to a national newspaper in which county leader Lindemann Kenneman swore and shouted at her members. Oh, we remember that footage. Remember? Yes. Do you remember that footage? The one, that one. Osborne, who is a cabinet member for Transport and Highways, said the comments made was made out of frustration rather than a malice. But opposition leaders said that he must go. He said the revelations of a Reform UK councillor appearing to make a threat to another are shocking. Actually, they've got a picture of it here. Let me see if I can actually share with you guys the actual WhatsApp screenshot here. Give me 1 second.
Oh,
can I do this? Don't even need audio as long as you can share the shot there. No. Oh. That was not it. That was not it. Press the. It's been a while, guys. It's been a while. Let me. Hold on. Let me think. There we go. That's the right one. Hold on. Yeah. There we go. So there it is. The message posted by Peter Osborne there. There it is in black and white. It's for some reason the date is scribbled out there. Or but there he is saying he hoping this mole is a bloke so I can punch him right in the jaw there. So yeah, I'm sure he's a lovely bloke.
But you know what? The Daily Mail would say, well, at least he was displaying respect for women because he was saying that it needed to be a bloke if he could punch them, so he could punch them in the jaw. You know.
So they're saying here the council. Yep. Saying it seems to have no respect for their role. He should resign from his office. He said, I said what I said in anger at the betrayal of a number of individuals who I considered my friends and colleagues. I'm glad that distraction is now behind us and we continue to deliver for the people of Kent at lightning speed, saving tens of millions of pounds and fixing tens of thousands of potholes. I haven't seen potholes in my area fixed, just for reference. However, I accept that this is never an excuse for violence. It was never my intention. Right, it was never his intention. It's never his intention, guys. Yeah, that's his words, not mine. Never his intention. Were made out of frustration at the circumstances, and I'm sure many will understand rather than malice. In a further development, Kent Online understands Kent Police was contacted over a separate violent message from an elected member that decided not to proceed with an investigation. The councillor who approached the force who was asked not to be named, said, "I'm disappointed but not entirely surprised."
No, I'm not surprised.
Please give their reasons, and I have to accept them, but I certainly won't be happy to. Officers confirmed that a complaint had been received and that the complaint. The screens all just went there. That was odd.
Yeah, it's just a little bit, but it seems to be okay now.
Yeah, it's normally when I share the screen. That's what I'm trying to avoid doing that here. Yeah. Any other stories here on this page here? No. Yeah, what do you guys think of? What do you guys think of Peter Osborne, guys? What do you guys honestly think of him? So, why you having have a Graeme? What more do you want to add to Peter Osborne? What the kind of bloke that he is?
Well, do you know what? I don't know really very much about him. I did read that story, but I didn't actually go away and do a bit of Googling and look at him. I probably should have done. But so I'm coming from a position of ignorance on his character here. But if he hasn't got any sort of history of doing anything like that, and he's saying he's done it in frustration, then maybe give him a chance, because people can lose the temper and say or do stupid things, but you can't say lose your temper and say or do stupid things repeatedly. So if it becomes a common thing, then But I do think that we give him a chance. And people might be surprised to hear me say that, but I think people can lose the temper once and say something stupid. If they do it twice, then it's time to start thinking maybe it's part of the character.
I do. Yeah, I'm just having a look now to see if there's been any updates. I mean, I'm just looking here on Google to see if there's like him resigning, and there's.
Do you know what? I'm shocked everything I've said there. If you were to go to his Wikipedia page and find out that he's got a history of doing this, because people shouldn't be able to repeatedly do things like this. But if it's the only time he's ever said something that stupid, then.
Yeah, it's just the thing is that it's a question of whether he's consistently saying it here.
Yeah.
But so exactly. the last one was the last thread, I think, was from a Facebook group from 2 days ago, where basically everything he's saying, he's been asked to resign, but he's not actually resigning from the looks of it here. When I'm looking at some of the threads on here, so he's not actually gone from his post, just for reference there, if anyone's curious. At least I don't think so. If he has, then it wouldn't. I think it will. I think I mean, I can check. We'll have a look later on and see what the Twitter handle Reform UK Exposed has to say as well, because they're the on Twitter that I don't know who the handler behind it is, but they do very good exposing Reform UK, literally for who they are. Thank you, Martin Brice, for the being a member for 17 months. Really appreciate it. Thanks for that. To see what you guys are saying. He should go. He's a numpty, in my opinion, says Viper Scott. Jal says, I think a politician should behave themselves accordingly if he's unfit for office, leave or apologise. I'm sure. I mean, obviously, if you see a repeated comments like that, then they should go.
Yeah. People should be allowed to make a mistake.
But the thing is that the thing for me is that people make mistakes. That is, I accept people make mistakes. Yeah, because we're all humans. We all make mistakes. All of us do. Of course. But it's a case of, are you always like that? Are you always saying that kind of language? Yeah. And if you're always saying that kind of things, then that's when it's like, okay, if I see another WhatsApp message or whatever of him saying something like that, then it's like, to me, it's like, okay, you need to go, basically. So this next story I've got is from the Manchester Evening News. It's the only one I've seen that has this story. So if anyone sees it anywhere else, the link, like I said, the links for all these articles are in the description here. I'm not going to pull up this one here, but this one was updated today, apparently. So Reform Party chair has been banned from the road following a drink driving conviction here. So the chair of a Reform Party in Tamside has been banned from the road after being convicted of drink driving. Robert Barrow-Clive admitted to driving while over the legal alcohol limit on the 16th of November 2024. So this was last year. This is a story from... Well, they've put this story up now from a story that's last year. He's due to appear in Manchester Magistrates Court on Friday for trial. Yeah, Barrowcliffe pleaded guilty to his charge. Court documents detail how Barrowcliffe on Karen Home Mosley was stopped by. Okay, this is obviously it's a year how the went over the limits and whatnot. Okay, a story like this, like the fact that they pulled this up from a year ago, the date of it, 27th November 2025, but in the actual thread it says 16th November 2024. I think this is kind of like a bit. I'm gonna say maybe this is a bit going like you're talking about a drink driving conviction. Like, are we really going to say that there hasn't been politicians from all sides that haven't had someone been convicted for drink driving. And by the way, I'm not defending him in any way, shape, or form. It's the thing is, if it's a one-off, like, and then he's still doing his job, which they're not doing for the sake of, I just want to point this out, but then I wouldn't be all right. But I do think this is a bit of a stretch there. I have to stop for a moment because I just realised someone. I just see my chat here. Someone has gifted 5 gifted memberships. Martin Briss, thank you so much. Apologies, guys. Let me just quickly read these out there. Vicky has been gifted membership. Halcyon, Last Braveheart, Unquiet Badger, Vince Glamour, and those are the 5 gifted memberships. Thank you, Martin. That's very generous of you there. Just wanted to thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. Let me know what you guys think in the chat as well. Like, is it really a big story like that? A drink driving conviction on the reform? I think it's a bit too much. Like, I mean, again, it's like, well, how often do we talk about this with a Lib Dem councillor or a Labour councillor or Conservative councillor? Or, I know we are eyeing up reform a lot more because of the kind of party and the language that they use. But I don't think this is an end of be all and end all. And it sounds like a story from last year.
Yeah. If it was really relevant, if it was really recent, I think it was more relevant, possibly, because it would suggest that there are people who don't have very much respect for the law. But then, like you say, at the same time, I would imagine there's probably loads of Labour MPs and Tory MPs and Lib Dem MPs and other MPs that have done this. It feels a little bit. Yeah. It feels a little bit like trying to find something.
By the way, we're not defend. I think obviously no politician should be doing it, but then again, nobody should be doing it. Yeah.
I mean, one of the only sensible decisions I ever made was to stop driving because I'd become a person that was drinking pretty much every day, and after that, I stopped driving. And after a while, I decided I wasn't going to drive again, and I'm fine with that now because the bus services around here are quite good and stuff. But no, I do find drink driving to be quite a repellent thing. But like you say, at the same time, it's certainly not something that is confined to reform. No, MPs or councillors or people or voters. So
what we need to find is a string of councillors or a string of people who are politicians of Reform Russia, and if they are being found to do multiple things, and that's where we can kind of like saying this is where this person definitely needs to go. Yeah. Or they have past tweets or past posts where they have said things, and it's like, okay, we need to highlight this person so people know this guy needs to go. If you're in this area, we need to.
Things like what's happened with Nathan Gill are a much stronger case for not voting reformed and things like somebody being a drink driver, because there's loads of people out there who will have had a conviction for drink driving at some point too. They're not going to be that threatened off by that.
Thank you, Wayne Pagan, for the £2 super chat. Reform Russia are failing in office nationwide. Effing lol. Yeah. Thank you so much for the £2 super chat, Wayne Pagan. Do check out his YouTube channel. Do check out his YouTube channel as well if you haven't got it as well, guys. I'd be greatly appreciated as well. So, another story here, guys. From this one is from the BBC. I know, but I could just hear my Scottish friends going boo. So, okay, I know. Don't worry. It's not been a BBC us. It's not just the BBC, I swear. The headline is Russia plans to strip EU citizens of their benefits rights. Obviously, it's a story we've looked at a week or two ago, but I think it's worth reminding us of this. Nigel Farage says Reform Russia will strip EU citizens of their rights to claim benefits as the outline plans to cut government spending by £20 billion a year. Don't know where he's going to find the money from, but okay. He's also set out plans to slash foreign aid to a minimum and nearly tripling the annual fee paid by visa applicants to use the National Healthcare Service. Tory said unpicking the Brexit deal was a ridiculous idea, while Labour warned it could spark a trade war with Brussels. Reforms UK's latest proposal comes, like I said, it was before the budget. Yusuf said that if reform won the election due by 2029, it would stop benefit payments to all foreign nationals after a reasonable 3-month notice period. The party estimates by restricting universal credit to British citizens only would save 10 billion by the end of the decade. First and foremost, I have to stop again. Sorry, Graeme. Alistair Viper Scott has given 5 gifted memberships to Turn the Blue Iris, Philippa Fox, Leapskin, and Martin Brisk there. No, not Martin Brisk. Oh, it's only 3. It's only 3 memberships have gone through there. It's only gifted 3 memberships, my friend. But thank you so much for them. It's really very much appreciated there. And one only pagan with £2 super chat. Is it possible that Reform Russia polling is a mirage? It's entirely possible that a lot of it could be possible bots, possible made up postcodes. I don't know if it's that much in terms of. I don't know how much. I don't know how true that is, but yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not going to. Yeah,
because some of the lower.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and
no, no. I'm just about to say, like, before I let you go, I'm just going to say, like, the likes of Reform, YouGov, and Ipsos, some of the bigger polls. I don't think they would have them. I think they would make check to be fair if they were bots using them. If I'm honest.
Yes.
But some of the other polls might be more questionable. Sorry, what were you going to add?
I was going to say, I can't sit here and make myself look silly by saying, oh, it's all fake and Reform aren't really. They're clearly ahead in the polls. They are ahead, and because there's ones I maybe once or twice a week I'll go on certain sites and have a look, and they are clearly ahead in the polls, and the polls that they're ahead in on not all, some of them are, but not all of them are biased ones, or pre-arranged ones, or ones where they've just asked Reform members and things. They're not all rubbish. They are ahead in the polls, but I think that when we have things like the recent elections in America and stuff, and when you look at things going on social media to an extent, you see that this idea that they're way ahead and they're romping forward and Nigel's going to be the next prime minister, it's not as true as the media want you to believe, and it's certainly not as true as some of the polls that they put forward are.
Graeme, can you still hear me all right? Because chat are telling me they can't hear me.
No, I can hear you fine.
I'm still getting a good connection. I mean, the mic is still here, guys. Is it still? Check audio. Things fine on my end, guys. I haven't changed anything. Look at the mic settings. It's all like I'm looking at the decimals as I'm talking. It's crackly. That's odd. Let me have a look here. No, it looks fine here. You're having some cracks in the sounds. The stream is awful. It's been all stream. I don't think it's been like that all stream, Lost Missionary, because I would have been hearing it right at the start. It's cracking up, really. It's cracking up. Not sure what to do. I mean, the only thing I can't. The thing is, guys, I can't come out. I can't back out and back in, because if I back out, I won't be able to get back in. Well, no, it hasn't been Lost Missionary, because chat would have been saying it right at the start. So that's definitely false. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do really. Let me have a look. I mean, I can't adjust it. Do you want to keep talking while I just adjust this?
I'm not having any problems here. I can hear you perfectly. Yeah, I suppose it is a bit of an issue if people can't hear you in the chat, though, because they're not going to understand the context of the answers I'm giving you. I can't actually see the chat. I think what I'm going to have to do next time we do something like this is I've got another computer attached to the old one somewhere, and I think I'm going to have to get that and bring it down and put it to one side there so I can see the chat as well. But I'm frightened to touch anything once we're going because I don't want it to suddenly crash out on me. You having any success?
I'm calling you a lot. Right, can you hear? Right, chat, how's it now? I've pulled the mic and out back in. Yeah, it's just what's the chat saying.
Yeah.
Thank you, Martin Brisk, for the 2 CHF. Really appreciate it. And hello, Stephen Mon. Thank you for the 20 New Zealand dollars. Much appreciate it.
New Zealand, yeah.
You hate being called a liar, Lost Missionary. Well, no one was saying it at the start of the live stream, so you're saying it now. You weren't saying it at the start. No, you weren't saying it at the start. Please don't lie in my chat, please. Fine, only for the last few minutes when angry pagan. Funny how technology doesn't work for independent podcasting. Well, I don't have this issue. Lost Missionary, you can leave if you're not happy. Pagan, don't time out, Lost Missionary. It's not a bad person.
Yeah, don't do that.
I can hear you, but the sound is poor.
That's not very good.
I know. I think it must be StreamYard. It has to be StreamYard because I don't have this problem with OBS. It must be a thing with OBS, guys. I don't know what to do, guys. I mean, would it be better if I get closer to the mic? Does that make it any better? Does that make it any better? No, I'm not going to ban you. Don't ban Lost Missionary.
No, don't do that.
No, don't. Pagan, stop it. Come on, just let's go. Guys, can you just tell me what the volume's like now? Yeah, it's not. This is not going well. Yeah, but I need to know what the volume like is. I need you guys to tell me what the volume like. I can't continue unless I know what the volume is like. So you guys need to keep telling me. So you guys have got to tell me in the chat. Because I can't do this live stream unless I know, guys. Like, I'm talking right next to the mic, so I need to know if that's better or not. We have some crackling. Right, but can you hear me? Like, can you hear me and understand what I'm saying? No, volume's okay, says Martin Briggs. Volume okay, just catches now and then. Just speak slowly, says Jal. 2 Davis says it's fine. I didn't do nothing. A double negative. So did I do something? You didn't do anything, Ellie. You're fine. Calm down, Lost Missionary. It's not the volume, it's the sound, customer. We can hear you. I can hear you okay. A bit better. Let's hear Graeme speak. I think if there was a problem with Graeme's mic, yeah, you guys, I don't know if you, normally you would say something about it, but it must be something to do with StreamYard.
Yeah, I've got the same setup I've had every time we've done this. So I don't think it's coming from me.
Yeah. But the thing is, the last time we used StreamYard, it was fine.
Yeah.
Like, no one was saying anything. No one was saying anything there. It's not the mic, it's a bit of audio buffering. The sound is better now. I think it might, maybe it's something to do with streaming this and maybe the links possibly, but okay. Graeme, about, well, we'll try and continue anyway.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on reform wanting to strip EU citizens of benefit rights? Like, what is this an indication of once again continuing trying to divide people in the UK, divide people and try and basically take away the EU citizens that have been here since before Brexit, those who are still here, who have worked and contributed to the UK. What can you say about this? About Nigel Farage wanting to do this? Really, is this really just adding more to the cultural and trying to divide people?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. It's not surprising in any way at all. It's exactly what you would expect of reform, and certainly of Nigel Farage, isn't it? He's, like I mentioned in my last video, the whole thing of reform is trying to find scapegoats, and I think as maybe they've sort of sensed in the air that a lot of people can see through how cynical they are about immigration, and so they're looking for a new scapegoat to try and the waters on some other things. And we've seen this before, that the violent and continuing attack on people who claim benefits. We've seen it in the past, and it worked. It worked for the Conservative Party. So maybe Farage is looking at that and thinking, well, if we need another scapegoat, that's the one we can move on to next. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, stream is cleared up now. Well, I haven't been talking that much, so there. And just want to put on the record here, because I was just looking at the chat right at the start of the show. No one was saying anything about the mic at the start there. So I just want to make that clear. No one was saying anything about my mic issues at the start of the live stream. I'm literally looking at scrolling back on the chat right now from the start. So I'm not lying when I'm saying that people were complaining about the volume at the start. Okay, so I just want to put that on the record, just for reference there. As for this, like some of the proposals from Reform UK sound absolutely insane, and I just think that it's one thing. I mean, it's already bad enough when it says that when we have them wanting to literally just stop boats, wanting to stop the boats, and literally just by throwing them out, and while I'm talking about people claiming asylum and whatnot. But we're talking about people who are already here, who are not British citizens, who are EU citizens, people who have worked and contributed to a society. Now, it's possible that some of these EU citizens are actually also working as well as claiming benefits, because a lot of people in the UK are also doing the exact same thing, because they're not earning enough money to be able to make a living. So this literally is a form of discrimination, is literally what it is. And for me, it's like, I get that, there is this sense of they're really trying to tap into the whole national pride, patriotism sort of thing.
Absolutely.
And this is their way. This is another way of them trying to do that there. I don't know how serious they are about doing this, though, because it's all one thing when they say, because we notice a lot with politicians and political parties, especially on the outside. When you're on the outside, you can say literally anything, but when you're in government, things seem to change there as well. So we'll leave that story for now. Hopefully the volume has cleared up a little bit now.
I just wanted to say, there was somebody I was chatting to on Facebook the other day who was trying his best to convince me that he wasn't a racist, but he was a reform voter. And he actually came out with the classic, I've got some friends that have emigrated here, and they think it's okay to support reform. And, with this thing with the independent leave to remain thing, I replied to him and I said, frankly, those people are likely to be deported if reform get into office, regardless of what their status is now. So if you vote reform, you're probably voting for your friends to be deported. And obviously, I got the usual just denial and pivoting to other issues. Yeah, but Labour, all that sort of thing in response. But maybe there's people out there who it will sink into if you keep telling them that. People who know people who are on like an independent leave to remain sort of thing, and reform will remove them. I mean, you're right in saying that they can say these things when they're not in office, but then Donald Trump has proved to us that once you get into office, you can do these things. And if you're nasty and forthright and prepared to deny the law enough, then you can still do these things. And I believe reform would be like that in government. I think there's a chance that they would just try to remove. I mean, I've seen people in the reform comments saying that anybody who isn't white should leave Britain. So, where'd you go with that?
Yep, that is true. So,
yeah.
You touched on something earlier about obviously Farage's connections to the Republican Party and whatnot. And I actually like, before I actually knew the story, I always thought that there would be some kind of project 2029 galvanized up by Reform Russia. And look and behold, here from Byline Times, it's a couple of days old, but you can see it here. The headline: Nigel Farage's Project 2029 is brackets the pro-Trump lobbyist pushing his agenda into the UK. So a Trump-aligned anti-abortion lobbyist who hosted Nigel Farage meeting with a January the 6th rioter in Florida has been funding and advising the reform leader while pushing Project 2025's hard right agenda into Britain. And he notices Nigel Farage shaking hands with Adam Johnson, well-known January the 6th rioter at a Republican Party fundraiser in Florida in March this year.
I think all of Trump's claims that he didn't support January the 6th, everything, they all disappeared the minute that he pardoned people like that. Because by pardoning them, he was saying that he didn't think they'd done any wrong. And if he didn't think they'd done any wrong, then he doesn't agree that January the 6th was the wrong thing to do, does he? He thinks it was okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised to see Farage getting involved with these people. I'm not. I wish I could be, but I'm not. I'm not surprised to see him being involved with these people, because I genuinely, the more I look into him and the more time goes by, he is, and maybe not everybody who follows him is. Maybe not even all of his party are, but he is a fascist.
Yeah, so I'm not going to read all of this, but I just want to touch up on that. So it says 6 months earlier, under chandeliers and American flags at Florida's Republican fundraiser, Farage grinned for the cameras as he shook hands with the convicted January 6th rioter. A man once photographed stealing Nancy Pelosi's lectern. At the time, it was widely reported that Farage had missed PMQs to attend the event. Byline Times can reveal that a photo captured more than a moment. It marked the meeting of two movements. Donald Trump's Project 2025 machine in the United States, a rising populist right in the UK. The same pro-Trump political operative who arranged Farage's Florida appearance later brought his network into London, launching a new lobbying vehicle aimed at exporting Trump's evangelical Project 2025 agenda across the Atlantic and working secretly to support Farage. And it was in March 2025, the host at the Florida Republican Party in Tallahassee, I probably mispronounced that Farage posed with Farage shaking his hand with the convicted rioter. The event, a Florida Republican Disruptors dinner fundraiser, whose VIP tables sold for $25,000 apiece, featured the Reform UK leader as the man who delivered Brexit. 7 months later, he belated registered, receiving a fee for the speaking engagement, quote unquote, from a company called Imperial Independent Media. That's operating from Washington but registered in Alaska. His parliamentary register shows 3 installments totaling £25,942. By failing to declare the payment at the time, Farage has breached parliamentary rules. He conceded that his Florida visit should have been declared earlier and apologized for the error. By the time he disclosed the fees in October, the Parliamentary Commissioner for Standards has already opened a probe for late registration. Byline Times can reveal that Farage's benefactor is a pro-Trump political lobbyist embedded in the Heritage Foundation Project 2025 ecosystem. Oh, not the Heritage Foundation.
What a shocker.
A US conservative plan to dismantle climate policy, the rights for women and ethnic minorities, and democratic safeguards. He also tries to evangelical groups in the US with a history of anti-LGBTQ and anti-abortion activism.
Oh, lovely.
And appears to be working actively with Farage to bring the Project 2025 style ideology into Britain. So just on some of this alone, I think that that they are going to bring something like this, but they're not going to call it Project 2029 or whatever, because they're gonna call it something else, like Reform's Plan to Fix Britain or something along those lines, you know, or like
Farage for a brighter future or something like that.
I don't think they'll go with the term "make Britain great again." I don't think they'll use that, because I don't know if that's going to. I don't think that will catch on, because there's still a lot of people. Well, not everyone in Reform is a fan of the Republican Party, is a fan of Donald Trump in particular. There, but people should not be surprised by Farage's links to some of these parties in evangelical, really.
He genuinely believes he's going to do exactly what Trump did in 2024, and he's going to capture the votes and the minds of everybody who's stupid, gullible, racist, a bit horrible, or just thinks that maybe they should vote for somebody other than Labour or Conservatives, but doesn't really know what they're voting for. He thinks that's enough to push him over the line and make him Prime Minister in 2030. And I'm not convinced he's wrong. Not yet. No.
Melody, who's also known as Indie Duck, says turkeys are daft, ducks boycott Christmas. They also they dodged Thanksgiving, which is today as well, for anyone who celebrates Happy Thanksgiving.
It is, isn't it? Yes, it's Thursday, of course. Yeah. Yes, Thanksgiving Day, isn't it?
So I don't know if anyone here actually does celebrate Thanksgiving, but just if anyone does, I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I generally mean that.
I've seen quite a few American commentators and stuff, and I would imagine that some of them will be celebrating Thanksgiving. It doesn't do anything for me. I don't really understand what it's all about, but I know what day it is, and yeah, you're right. It is. It's today, isn't it?
Oh, that's such a terrible showing. Rosemary says Farage has no access to emails or WhatsApps. Oh my God, that's such a... Yeah, I know. Oh, that was regarding the UKIP. About his time in UKIP. He said I can't go back and look at what happened at UKIP, because I'm not there anymore. And it's like, oh, such a shame. Oh, it's not like you started the party or was leader of it for a period of time, Oh, dear, oh dear.
To be fair, though, it's lies like this that, that is clearly a lie. There's absolutely no way that he couldn't. He's a multi-millionaire ahead of a party that is generating millions in donations. There's absolutely no way he couldn't afford to employ somebody to go back through all of the communications he's had in the last 10, 15 years and find these things. That is a blatant lie. This is what offends me about Farage, is he tells blatant lies, but he tells lies where it's so complicated to find out that he's lying that Reform voters just aren't going to do it.
Yeah, I'm just seeing if there's anything. There's so much information here. It's going to take me so long to read all of it all here, but you can just see the kind of people that he's hanging out with. Oh,
yeah.
Dear. Yeah, it's not good, guys. Let me put it that way. Let me close that there. The connections obviously here. Like, I wonder if as well, because there's still quite a period between now and the next general election, and I wonder that if the Republican Party, which is not doing well in a lot of polling right now because of Donald Trump, I wonder how much of that is going to affect Nigel Farage here and the Reform UK here. And the reason why I Oh, thank you. Good night, Martin. Thank you for your gifted memberships and super chats. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming.
Martin Harrow, really. I see his name a lot. Well done, mate.
Thank you so much for your generosity tonight. I really appreciate it. Apologies for the volume, the mic errors. It sounds like from chat that it's all working. It's okay now. So it looks like I had a bit of a dip for some silly reason there. But just back on this part here. How much, if any, impact on voters for reform will be affected by what happens in America, or in particular the Republican Party, from your view? Like as of right now, Trump is not super popular. He's in some aspects he's still doing okay in certain polls, which is crazy, but in other parts he's not.
Most is not.
Yeah, and if he turns out, I mean, I don't know how he will go from his presidency, but if he does go in some way, shape, or form, how much of that would hurt Nigel Farage and Reform UK here? How much do you think it will hurt the polls?
I've said in a couple of my videos that I hope that Donald Trump might be the stone that drags Nigel Farage down with him. I think in the next, I feel bad saying it because it's it's wishing harm on a lot of American people, but I do think America is going to sink further than it is now before the people will stand up and put a stop to it. And I do think that the further America drifts towards fascism, idiocracy, and stupidity, the more people will realise that Trump is entwined with Farage, isn't he? And I think it will draw support away from Nigel Farage. Now, whether it will draw support away from Reform as Reform Russia as a party, who knows? But I do think that there's going to be people that will stop supporting Nigel Farage because of his connections to Trump. Now, how many it will be, who knows? Hopefully it'll be enough to make a difference.
Guys, was there any issues with the connection there? Because I had a bit of stuttering on my end. Just let me know in the comments, guys. Just out of curiosity. Hopefully, hopefully it wasn't. It was all fine from your ends, but I did have a little bit of jittery. I really do think it's StreamYard. I really do think it's StreamYard because OBS works every time I've streamed with OBS, I don't have any problems, but with StreamYard, I have these issues.
I'm struggling a little bit.
Yeah, Giles says, I had a bit. Viper Scott said a bit as well. Blooming StreamYard. And you know what? You only have a certain amount of time for being free with them. And then they charge an arm and a fucking leg, for membership, which is like $44 or something. And they can't even they can't even do things right. Like Stephen Moore says,
I've not looked into it. Yes, I did a live stream last week, but I've not really looked into the software and everything needed for it yet.
I honestly don't think it's the links. Yeah, I don't think it's the links, Joe. I honestly think it's StreamYard because I just don't have this issue whatsoever with OBS. If I could do this without StreamYard, guys, I would. If you've got a free software, I can do it without. Let me know, guys. Without StreamYard, I'll restream, I suppose. I mean, I do everything through restream. I suppose I could look at trying doing this with restream, I suppose, instead of StreamYard in the future. Hopefully, it will calm down a little bit because I do want to have a look at just one or two more things here before we wrap up, because we've actually gone over an hour. I wasn't sure if we were going to go over an hour talking about reform.
No, I haven't even mentioned the poaching yet, have I?
Oh, please take it away.
Well, I'm considering putting it in a video, but I'm not sure. I don't really want to take these people on to too much of a level, but I gave her a month after she became the local MP, and then I sent her an email and asked. I said I don't support reform, but I'm a local voter and I'm interested in what your plans are and how you intend to, improve the area. I got an automated response back about 3 days later, and then I've had nothing since. So what I did was I went online and I did a little bit of research and hunted for some of their addresses and things. Okay. And I found that throughout the campaign, they had Reform had an office in what's called the Shopping City. It's a shopping mall in Runcorn, but shortly after she won the seat, the office was closed down, and she's not been in it even once since. And I've had no response whatsoever to any contact I've tried to have with her. Mm-hmm. Now that's bad enough, but also there's been 3 quite big stories, local stories, I suppose, but there's been 3 quite big stories where she stood up in the House of Commons and just told an absolute litany of lies about the local area. Thankfully, it's never been at a time when the Commons is actually packed full, apart from the time when she said she wants to ban the baker. I've lived in Runcorn for the best part of 30 years, and I've never seen a woman in a baker, so I don't know where she's going with that. But she's Derek. We had Derek Twigg before it was Labour, and then we had the guy who punched somebody in the face. I can't really comment on him because I never asked him for any help. I never really paid much attention to his campaigns or anything. I just expected him to win, and then But she doesn't seem to be doing anything as a local MP. She doesn't seem to be making any effort whatsoever to be a local MP. And I can't seem to find out any way to get in contact with her. And when I asked if she does any surgeries, I just got told the address of the office in the shopping city. And I know for a fact that's been... And I don't go down there very often myself, but I know people who live down that end, and they tell me that it's closed. It's not open. It's, there's piles of mail behind the door and the doors are locked. So she doesn't seem to be doing anything as a local MP.
So basically, she's like Nigel Farage, basically nowhere to be seen.
I think she might be a little bit worse than Nigel Farage. He only does it in response to criticism, but he does occasionally pop into Clacton to have a photo taken, doesn't he? But she came to an event that was for local veterans. There's a Legion club in Runcorn. I very rarely go near it, but there's one here, and it's quite a big one. And she did a little event with some veterans for that. But I think that's I might be, if there's anyone in the chat that knows more, then that's fair enough. If you tell me I'm wrong, I'll accept it. But as far as I know, since the local elections, she's been in Runcorn for twice for quite, big local sort of things. Once was the veterans thing, and give respect to her for going to that, but she did try to twist it a bit and make it, And then there was another time when there's a park in Runcorn that's got a lake that's drained because of environmental factors, really. But she's trying to blame it on, things that Labour have done in the Labour Council have done in recent years. And she turned up to have a moment about that as well. But as far as I know, she's only been back to Runcorn twice since she's been elected.
Jesus. Oh, dear, oh, dear. I noticed it was cutting in and out again while you were talking there. I'm gonna need to find an alternative here, guys, because StreamYard is letting me down, which is very, very annoying. I do apologize. I do apologize, guys. I will try and look into StreamYard and see how I can set up a dual stream and whatnot. I'll have to take some notes from Dave McGinnis and see from his side, because I think StreamYard is really really not helping me here, because I keep seeing it cut out on my end.
Well, that's not good.
I can't keep having this issue. However, to be fair, like most other StreamYards have been fine, but I will try. We've got a show next. I think it's next week. Is it myself and Pagan? No, is it next week, my friend? I think it is. Yeah, next week is December, isn't it? Yeah, so next week.
Yes. Oh God, next week's December.
Yeah, next week is December. I know, shocking. There. Before we wrap up, I'm just going to have a look at. I want to share this with you guys. Hopefully, there won't be any issues if I share this with you guys. Boom, boom, boom. So, for those who do have Twitter, which probably is no one here, but I do want to share it.
Twitter,
which is no one here, but I do want to share this with you. So this, if you ever use Twitter, this account here, Reform Party UK Exposed, they do I don't know who's behind the account, but they do a very good job of exposing and finding stuff on Reform. They're very good at digging up dirt on Reform. They cannot stand this. Lots of people Reform despise that account very, very much, and they're not going away basically as much as they tried to. So let me just have a look and see what they're saying here. So let's have a look at them. So they've got a piece here. They retweeted from The Independent. Nigel Farage accused of persistent racial abuse by ex-schoolmates who rejected claims that it was banter.
Gosh.
So there's that story as well. Here's Nigel Farage courting Enoch Powell. They've got a picture here of Nigel Farage on the far right during Alan Sked campaigning days in 1993. Shall we show you guys? Let me show you guys the picture.
Yeah.
Actually, this is quite curious. I didn't want to keep it up just in case it was going to be an issue here. So I don't know how well you can see the picture, but apparently, I don't. Maybe if I can I click the picture? Would that help? So apparently, that's Nigel Farage on the far right there, guys. Apparently. According to Reform, driving to a by-election rally where they chose me because everyone else made available had a Morris Mirror and a Merc. Farage invited Enoch Powell to stand for UKIP in the 1994, apparently as well. Oh dear. Oh dear. Stephen Morgan, thank you so much for the 10 New Zealand dollars. And thank you again for the 20 earlier on. I appreciate it. Sorry, it was just the timing of it when I was having the sound issues. Yeah, so I do apologize. I do appreciate the very generous super chats. Thank you so much, my friend. Go on. What do you want to touch on this then with this tweet?
Do you know, it made me think of back in my earliest times. I was talking about Nigel Farage long before it even resurfaced. Then I was mentioning this thing about him singing Hitler songs, you know, when he was young, and attacking, you know, racially attacking Jewish people when he was in school and in college and things. And it's a little bit. I'm glad that it's being talked about now. It should be talked about, of course it should, but there's another part of me that is like the media and everything, they've ignored it all for so long. You know, it's none of this. It might be fresh news to Reform voters, it might be fresh news to people who aren't, you know, don't follow politics on the same level we do, but it's not fresh news to anybody to hear that Nigel Farage was a racist when he was in college. It's like, we all know this. A lot of this information's been around for a long time.
Just an interesting one here. I don't know how real this this Twitter handler is called Harry Harrison. He's a local democracy reporter covering Doncaster. His tweet has been retweeted by Reform Party UK Exposed. So this is today here from him.
Yeah.
Let me just see what he's adding quite a lot to this story. Where is the main thing? So Reform's attempts to remove Jason Charity from his committee position. This is a thread, a part of Doncaster Sheffield Airport full thread he's got in here, and apparently They were trying to remove someone from the committee position, and it went to a vote, and the vote rejects reforms attempts to remove chair councillor Clarity. It's been deterred till January 2026.
Aye.
So they tried to remove somebody on here. So, and they failed to do so, according to Harry Harrison's thread here, who is a worker, who's a local reporter in Doncaster there. He says his last tweet was, massive significant moment for Reform UK in Doncaster. Councillors of other parties in the chamber are not sure if Ashton can continue as leader after this. That's not a very good sign there.
Of course not.
As a fresh intervention by the wife of former Putin minister and donor to Richard Tice raises some questions about Russia's connections with reform in a period marked by a sentencing of the Welsh leader for taking pro-Russian bribes. This is someone's linking their Substack on reform and the Russia problem. Asking about Nigel Farage releasing his tax returns as well. Are we going to find... Yeah, someone asking about the tax returns. Are we going to see Nigel Farage's tax returns? Answer the postcard there, please. Reform. There's an opinion piece here from Premier Christianity. An opinion piece saying reform is culturing Christian voters, but I think their values undermine our faith.
Yes, I've seen a bit of that. Yeah,
you've seen that piece there.
Yeah, they're getting this thing. They're not this deep. For a while, they were just saying, "Oh, British culture," but now they're starting to say, "Christian British culture." I have seen it, and then you had at the thing that Tommy Robinson organised in September. There was people selling crosses on the side of the road to the people who were passing to attend it. Very much in the same way that Donald Trump has tried to appeal to Christian fundamentalists. I think we're going to see that to an extent. I think we're going to see that with reform. But I think whereas in America, they could, it's ridiculously stupid, but they do try to hold up Trump as being a Christian man and that. I don't think they can do that with Nigel Farage, but I do think an aspect of that is going to creep into it as we go forward.
Guys, we've got about an hour and 20 minutes, and we've had some jitteries and whatnot. And I want to start by saying I apologize for the technical difficulties. To be fair, it's not often that I have technical difficulties. Hopefully, myself and running. Hopefully, myself and One Angry Pagan won't have these technical difficulties when we use StreamYard next week. Cross fingers,
I have to make sure,
guys. But I just want to say, I'll have a look back on some of it as well, just to see from your guys' views what's going on with it. I won't be able to do it tonight, but I just want to say, I hope you guys found today interesting, informative, maybe helpful. Maybe you guys learned a little bit more about Reform Russia than you did before. I generally hope that that you found this helpful in some way, shape, or form, guys. It's informative in any way, shape, or form. I really hope you do. We might do. If you guys want this series to go again, let me know. Because if you want us to do this series again, we could do this once a month, maybe next year. But if we can get past these technical difficulties, because Graeme is an expert on the talking down reform with his fantastic 5 reasons. Richard Tice, Nigel Farage. And so many others are twats. And you do honestly find some great stuff when you dig when you come to your digging on reform.
When I go digging,
you are very good at digging up the information. You really do, and I think we can put a bunch of different stories into one live stream. I think it would be really, really insightful. And obviously, with the benefit of live streams in comparison to videos, is that we get to hear the feedback from the people who are watching as well, which I also think is very good there. I should also just point out as well, guys, please do sign the petition, the Reform Russian Influence petition. Thank you, Viper Scott, for putting the link in the chat again. If you haven't been here at the start, please click the link, please sign the petition. We want, like, even if there's someone here who's watching and they are a supporter of reform, you want to make, if you generally do believe in reform and you want the party to do well, make the country better, and want to make Britain great and whatnot, if you generally actually believe that, you don't want influence from Russians involved in your political party. Yeah, you don't want that influence.
Yeah.
So you
can I just say, I've had some people that have commented on a few of my videos lately, and I can see from the quality of the comments and the way they write and stuff, these aren't stupid people, but they're looking for an alternative, and they're being maybe misled into voting reform. But there are people out there that are voting reform because they genuinely believe that reform are going to reform the UK and make things better. They're not all idiots. They're not all racists. They're not all monsters.
No, and if you're somebody who's listening here and you actually do generally believe in this party and you want this party to succeed and do well, well, you don't want Russian influence. Yeah. You don't want a foreign entity controlling what happens here in the UK. So it's in your interest and your party's interest, if you are a supporter of reform, to sign this petition, because you need to push the narrative within reform, if you are a member or a subscriber of reform, to change that narrative. So it's all well and good us on the outside. We've made our position clear as feelings about reform. But if you're somebody who's listening to this and actually does care about reform, sign that petition, because you don't want, because you don't want Russian interference. You don't want a foreign entity controlling a political party that controls the British government. Exactly. You don't want that. Exactly. So it makes logical sense in that perspective. 70,000 have signed it so far, says Fife Scott. Thank you for that update. Appreciate it. Yeah. Guys, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's come along. Thank you guys for all your comments. Thank you for those who gave super chats and gifted memberships. Apologies for the technical difficulties. Cross fingers. When we go live again we won't have this issue. Cross fingers. But Graeme, before we head out, what did you honestly think of this show? Did you thought it was interesting? Do you think we should do it again?
God, yeah, there's loads of things that I've been thinking about all day that I haven't had a chance to say. But the time will come again, or I'll put them in my videos. But yeah, I've enjoyed it. Yeah, I'll always step up and come on if you need me to. And I'm sure there's always plenty we've got to talk about, isn't there?
There is always plenty to talk about, for sure. And it makes a change from listening non-stop about the budget as well, guys, because I know you've been hearing non-stop about the budget. So,
exactly.
So thank you guys again. Just for a quick reminder, I'll be live again tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. But before you join me for another Good Morning show, if you can join, if you're up early, do check out Politics Social Morning Brew with Graeme Hughes at 9 o'clock.
Oh, yes.
At 10:30, of course, will be the morning papers with Dave McGuinness there. Do join him for that one. And then after that, if you can, join me for another Good Morning show at 11 o'clock. That'd be great as well. I have no other live streams, planned for the rest of the Friday, but just for reference there. So thank you guys all for coming along. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we hope to catch you all very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.